Hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry. Today we are looking at a ship that is back in the shipyard. And yes, it's a premium, but it's in the shipyard, so you can get it for freely achievable resources, which means we'll take another look at it. This is the Irian, a Pan-Asian cruiser at tier 8. Well, it's actually a Kutuzov, basically, but with a Pan-Asian flair. So let's see how the two of them compare and if it is worth actually getting the ship. This predates the actual Pan-Asian cruiser line, so we also have to compare her to the Harbin eventually. But let's take a quick look how the two of them differ, because it's actually literally the same ship model. The Kutuzov, if you're not familiar with it, is basically a premium Shipyard sort of. Very similar playstyle, 2 precise aim, def AA and a single smokescreen. The Irian is having a very different loadout with sonar and a torpedo reload. And obviously, given that she's Pan-Asian, she does get deep water torpedoes, which means no torpedoing destroyers for you. The hull is very similar. Irian gets actually a decent amount of extra hit points, but her maneuverability is a little bit worse than on the Kutuzov. Better engines though, but the rudder is a bit more sluggish. And the guns don't quite have the range, so that's almost a kilometer. That's almost a kilometer range less than on the Kutuzov. And if you're not aware, these ships are generally considered gunboats because these are very, very good Russian 150mm guns, or Soviet in this case. With a 6% fire chance, you can do a lot of damage, and 12 guns that have an under 8-second base reload. Just as the Kutuzov, she gets 2 quintuple launches of torpedoes, but that's where the differences end, because while the Kutuzov has, Russian to Soviet torpedoes generally have a relatively short range, and the premiums tend to be a little bit better, but 6 kilometers is still nothing great on the Kutuzov. On the Irian, however, you have an 8.7 kilometer range on these torpedoes, and you have a torpedo reload booster, which means you can technically get 15 torpedoes into the water, 10 over one side and 5 over the other, in a reasonably short amount of time. They do more damage, they are faster, they have a much better flooding chance, and, like I said, 8.7 kilometer range. So definitely an improvement there. The AA is a tick worse, and obviously you don't get the defensive AA, so you do have to be not relying on your air defenses against anything. And the concealment is actually, base concealment is a little bit better, but still these are not particularly stealthy ships. So it's a Kutuzov, but with a more Pan-Asian torpedo cruiser flair. So how does she hold up against the Harbin, which is the actual Tech Tree Tier 8 Pan-Asian cruiser? Obviously the Harbin does also get the torpedo reload and the deep water torpedoes, but then she does get the fuel smoke and is a very different ship. A lot less hit points for starters, but a significantly more maneuverable, smaller ship. And instead of 12 guns, she gets 10 guns with an even shorter range. And given that they're 130mm destroyer guns, it's basically an Atlanta. They are and a much shorter range. It's a different play style. But the big point that we want to look at is the torpedoes. So the Harbin gets 12 torpedoes plus the torpedo reload booster. So she is significantly heavier on the torpedoes. Slightly more damage, but not an awful lot. Much faster base reload, however. Slightly less range, but more torpedoes that we can put in the water. Still, with 15 torpedoes, the Irian is not far behind. And the AA on the Harbin, comparable. Concealment is a little better. But very different playstyle on these two ships. The Irian really plays more like you would play a Soviet cruiser. Not particularly maneuverable, good kiter, good fire starter, with the additional bonus of deep water torpedoes that have a very good range and that hit pretty darn hard. And that can come as a little bit of a surprise at times, although by now people should have realized that Pan-Asian things tend to have torpedoes on them. So there's that. Anyway, let's have a quick look at the setup that I would generally recommend. You do get the choice for main battery firing range, which yes, I would absolutely go for. And the ship itself gives you four steel, basically for free. Destroy 2 cruisers in a battle is not a difficult task to fulfill at all. You can get the main battery mod 3, and since you don't get the precise aiming, I would actually recommend this to get more shots on target. These guns can be really nasty, especially against destroyers as well. And the maneuverability isn't the greatest, but I would still sail with concealment just for positioning. It is tier 8, so it's debatable. You could argue that with the current level of skill in tier 8, you might as well just go with steering and go guns blazing. But I personally like the concealment build on these cruisers, just to go undetected from time to time if necessary, and because it is basically a more long-range playstyle. You're still not going to be stealth torpedoing, but with the whole setup, you are getting a 12.2 kilometer range on the guns, which is great, a 6% fire chance, so you can HE spam, and pretty good armor-piercing shells as well. You do have the 8.7 kilometers on the torpedoes, and we've got the concealment down to 8.5. So theoretically, you could stealth torpedo. If you're being chased, you could stop firing your guns and then drop the torpedoes behind you and let the enemy ship run into it without being detected. Edge case, I would say, but still 8.5 kilometers if you're going undetected is not a terrible range to be at for this kind of things. Put a commander in there. A couple of things to keep in mind. I am picking up an extra sonar instead of the torpedo range detection. I just like having more sonar because I get more control over it. You don't have the precise aim things that you would otherwise be using, so you can lean into the extra hit points that you're having and work with the survivalist here. And exploit weakness is a nice one over the recon skill. Both are decent choices, and the generalist is not a bad skill to have either. So tier 6 is always a lot of good choices. I would use the APCS because the Russian armor piercing is pretty good. And if you're dealing with enemy cruisers, having the additional DPS rather than trying to burn them down is much appreciated. And given how torpedo heavy that ship is, the Giant Hunter is not a bad skill to have either. When it comes to talents, it's a bit of a mixed bag always with cruisers, but I kind of like the tactical shooter for extra range, although detecting 3 ships for something that isn't a destroyer or a carrier is not always the easiest thing to do. The alternative would be the turret traverse, but from here on out we can get just more speed and maneuverability after the first kill, which is good to have. And after 7 fires, we get more torpedo speed and shell velocity, which on an HE spammer is a pretty good skill to have as well. There are other options, but this is the one I was actually using here. So let's have a very quick look at the historical camo. I will not be using it, but if you want to spend 3,500 gold that you have acquired by whatever means, you get hit points, range, torpedo speed, and large caliber AA. The AA is marginal. Torpedo speed, okay, can take it. Main battery range is good. Hit points, okay. It's not a must-have camo in my opinion. If you really enjoy the ship and you've collected the gold, then maybe. But I will be playing with, just for comparison reasons, the free-to-play setup. So this is what you would get out of the Shipyard, and I have no idea how much it costs, or if that's price and value are 2 different things, right? Price is what you pay, value is what you get. So you have to decide for yourself if whatever resources are asked, the ship is worth it. I would say if you already have a Kutuzov and maybe a Harbin, maybe not necessarily worth adding one more of these. But if you're sort of not into any of these, or if you're really enjoying the Pan-Asian cruisers and maybe the Russian cruisers and want to have You want to have something premium for tier 8 that you can lean into there. This is a very, very good ship to have in my opinion. But let me stop talking about it and show you a little bit of what that looks like. We're playing domination on the Okinawa map against a Champagne, Gascogne, Monarch, a York, Fantasque, and an Ognivoy. The Irian is, in my opinion, a really, really good ship. But I might be a little bit biased here because I do enjoy playing cruisers quite a lot. So that's again why I'm showing you this. But you can't play her like a Pan-Asian cruiser. You have to more play her like a Soviet cruiser that happens to have really good torpedoes on it, which is not a bad thing because by themselves Soviet cruisers are very, very good gunboats. I'm spawning with the bot Akatsuki here, and you see the torpedo angles, they are very good. And we are heading over into C, but I'm not going to rush into the Cup because this is, if you're familiar with Soviet cruisers, they're not the most maneuverable, and that's another bot on the Shimanto, so I've got only bots with me here. They're not the most maneuverable, and you do not necessarily want to get into close range engagement with things, although the sonar actually does help. However, if you were to play, say, the Shapayev, you would have a radar, which is slightly more useful, but still 3 sonars is nice. Now there's the Gascogne. I can't shoot over the island because these are Soviet guns, they have very flat trajectories. There's the Ognivoy over there, but we'll start out with Gascogne. Gascogne just fired. I'm clear of the island, so let's start opening up on him and see if he... Okay, he is shooting at, I think, the bot. So let's see if we can get some fire started and then go for the permafires and permaflat. That's double fire, no, triple fire, and he's going to damage on that eventually. Yeah, there comes the damage control. So now, I don't think he doesn't seem to have paid much attention to me, so I'm going to drop the torpedoes here once he clears the island, because he seems to be sailing pretty much in a straight line. Use the reload booster and then get the ship turned around. Unfortunately, the Gascogne's light is quite a bit faster than that, and actually caught me in the turn here because I left it a little too long. So we took a couple of hits there, but if you can angle away and either take them belt or take them for over penetrations, that's not too bad. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get a permaflat here. I feel mildly cheated. So there's my first permafire. See if I can get the rear turrets over it. Nope. So Gascogne is only down to half hit points. My torpedoes are going to be reloaded in a couple of seconds, but I can still now kite away and set more fires. I do have to turn the ship away, and there are 2 fire. There's a double permafire. It's not that Gascogne did anything wrong here. He did have damage on a triple fire. But I do have to be careful here and time his reloads, because that is a French battleship and these things have rapid reloads, so you got to be very, very careful with that. And I am running out of map, but Gascogne seems to be, and again I've taken it mostly on the side here, Gascogne seems to be very much sailing in a straight line, so I'm just gonna squeeze around the map border here and not give broadside while the torpedoes are coming in. That was the salvo. He has shot off one of my torpedo launchers, but after I've already launched the torpedoes. So that is now a dead Gascogne. There he goes. He has not learned that I had torpedoes. So there's my first kill. And now we are very much, unfortunately, away from the action. We are 1 kill down, and the enemy team is holding both capture circles and is about to take B Cup as well. So we are behind on points a fair bit. There's an Amagi, and something is dealing with destroyers over there. So I am going to have to switch to armor piercing. Yeah, the Ognivoy has taken out the friendly Tirpitz, but he is on very low hit points, and I think, yeah, the Vladivostok's got him. Well done. So back to high explosive for whatever we need to target. And actually it's a Fantasque, who has just taken a big hit from that Amagi, I think, over there. He might have had the high explosive load and haven't paid attention, but that probably cost him, the Amagi, I mean, in terms of torpedoes. So back to the armor piercing. The Vladivostok's still on full hit points. And the Fantasque is very quick, but is now turning. Sonar up in case there are, because there are going to be torpedoes. And Amagi is perma-flooding, unfortunately, by the looks of it. And the Fantasque is using the island hitbox to great success there. I almost got him. He just got out a little bit quicker than I thought he was gonna, but Vladivostok's taken him down. So next up, York, torpedoes away. Reload booster up, second torpedo spread out. There is still a battleship behind me, but I do want to finish off that York as quickly as possible. He's dead. He's going to run into my torpedoes. Amagi is about to die, so I'm already switching back to high explosive and turning about. That York's already dead. No reason to bimble about. Going to turn about to take on that Champagne over there, which is on full hit points. We are about 100 odd points ahead, behind, and the Amagi is about to die. So there comes the... Oh no, he's shooting at me. Okay, shoot at me, yes. Please shoot at me. Unfortunately, now he can't see me. He can see me now again. That's the first fire. Torpedoes on the left side are still not reloaded. Can I still lob this? No, that's the downside of the Russian guns. I've still got 10 seconds on my torpedoes, so I'm gonna slow down here and drop the torpedoes on him, while the Vladivostok is doing the right thing, heading towards the center, trying to find the other battleship. So we don't know where that is. Okay, torpedoes away at the Champagne, and there come the auto secondaries opening up, but I'm already behind the island, so he's going to run to the first torpedo spread, but I have more torpedoes on the other side. So if he's not making a turn after that, and there are 5 torpedo hits, then that is a very dead Champagne, and I don't think he is. So yes, we are. Yes, people, we are in tier 8 and we are aiming straight down the indicator. He might be running to the island. That might help him dodge the torpedoes. That's a little unfortunate. But he has taken down the Amagi. No, he sailed past the island. So I think that Champagne should be toast. We've got a minute left, but even with the Champagne down and now holding 2 capture circles, we're still behind on points. By I think enough that if the third battleship just runs away, then they probably have this game. So while we are chasing after the elusive last battleship, this is a very, very good cruiser. Why? Because it's versatile. And I really like that about ships. It can act as a Soviet cruiser and just HE spam from range, and is very, very good at that. She can act as a torpedo cruiser because with that torpedo range and the torpedo reload booster, she's got a really nasty bite on the amount of torpedoes she can spit out, and is effective against destroyers with the 150mm armor piercing and a large number of guns plus the sonar. She can really hurt enemy cruisers and battleships. The only place where she falls a bit short is air defense, but that's sort of the Pan-Asian flavor playing in there. In general, I would say this is a really, really good cruiser to have at tier 8, and one of the ships that I might personally actually try to get on my account, because I don't have her yet. I do have the Kutuzov and the Shapayev. So I'm not particularly short on Soviet-flavored cruisers at tier 8, but this is a very good ship in my opinion, and well worth it if you want to get it. Now, as you see, we have lost because we didn't manage to find that last battleship. And yeah, the enemy Monarch did some damage, but I would almost argue that he either went AFK or looking for the treasure at the end of the map. And that actually won them the game, because if he had shown up and we had managed to sink him, which we would have had to because we completely did not have cap control and were just too low on points, then he might have still been able to throw that. But either by great skill of realizing that they're ahead on points enough and running away, or by the sheer fact that he went KFK after 5 minutes in the game, or 3 minutes or 2, then the enemy team won. But still, respectable result, I think, in the Irian. And in my opinion, a very, very good ship. If you are into this kind of playstyle and if you enjoy cruisers, then that is it for me today. Thanks, everybody, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.